1, 2, 3. La 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 la. Testing 1, 2. You keeping it off before testing? Okay. neranena, yai lai 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 lai, la Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, naria, lai lai lai, letzuri sheinu, yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, creator of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation, from mountain to sea, hear our song. Nekadma, ya lai 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 lai, fanav betoda, ya lai 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 lai. Mirot, ya la 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 la, narialo, ya la 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 la. For all of the wonders and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Neranena, yai lai 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 lai, la Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, naria, letzuri sheinu, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. If you happen to be unable to come to the synagogue and you are watching from home, we always start late on these third Fridays because everyone's having such a good time with the wine and cheese and crackers and conversation that we have to sort of force everybody in here. But welcome to everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Take a minute to say hello, especially if there's anyone around you. You may not remember their name, or you don't know their name, or you're just meeting them. Can I get some cold water? Okay. So this is our open house weekend, and we have our very fun open house events, activities coming up on Sunday at 11 o'clock, and please come. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or watching at home, you are welcome to come, bring friends, lots going on, and it was fun to see everything suddenly starting up. I was over at the meet and greets that were taking place at the preschool, all the nervous parents of little teeny ones who hadn't ever sent their kids to preschool before, all nervous, and some of us vaguely remember those days, but somehow the children survive and thrive and do very, very well. In fact, I think there were some kids that were dragged out screaming because they thought they were going to stay, and then they weren't going to, and they were very upset. It's like, gotta wait till Monday, sorry. Thank you to Andy Sussman and to Ruth Pavlo for sharing their beautiful music with us this and every Shabbat. Thank you to Xavier for all the technology that enables us to hear each other, and for those of you at home to see what's happening here in our lovely warm sanctuary. Thank you to our president, Matthew Meyer, for all he does, to the assistant president who brought me some water, so we're very grateful for Molly Meyer. and all of you for being here. So on the third Friday, besides our lovely wine and cheese spread, we invite everyone to come up who would like to light a candle for our Shabbat candle lighting. So you may come up for that. And I also would like to call up Louise Samuels, who will get us all started as she comes up to the candles on the beam, and you may just light, because we say the blessing, we light, and then we say the blessing after.
First goes light. So it's light, recite, translate.
So Louise will lead us in the blessing.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, God, source of all life, who brings us holiness through mitzvah and who has given us the mitzvah of lighting the Shabbat candles.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. And let us say Amen.
Beautiful. Good Shabbos.
Oh, you got closed shoes on. Okay.
This is such a lovely custom that I inherited from TBO generations past, and it's wonderful. We now sing the song that goes back about 500 years, written as part of the mystical tradition of Judaism in Israel, in which everything in the natural world, that will come up later in our service, everything in the natural world is seen as spiritual and holy and godly. And so this is a musical poem that comes from that time, Lecha Dodi, where we see the Shabbat day as being a beautiful bride that comes into our space as we welcome the Shabbat. We rise on the last verse of Lecha Dodi. It is on page 138.
Lecha Dodi. Likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor. Night Shabbat, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה לה לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת פלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, יאללה לה לה לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבלה, יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבלה.
You may remain standing as we continue with Baruch Hu on page 146.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
On page 152 is Shema. Shema comes from chapter 6 of Deuteronomy, which we read a couple weeks ago. And you could easily have an argument over which of the 6 words that make up the Shema is the key one, which is the most important one. So I will argue pretty much consistently for Echad. Echad is the final word in this line, and Echad can mean one, as in the number one, or it can mean oneness. It can mean, as the other words say, be attentive, hear and understand, people of Israel. God is Echad. And I'll talk a little bit later about one of the teachings from our Torah portion this week in Deuteronomy, but it comes back pretty much always, as I think most of Judaism does, to this idea that we are all interconnected, all life on earth is interconnected, and if we can really, truly live our lives with that understanding guiding us, what a different world this would be. Shema on page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad.
You may be seated as we continue on the next page with Ve'ahavta, also appearing in Deuteronomy. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol ma'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvihisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 158 from earlier in the Torah, in the book of Shemot of Exodus. The Israelites are freed from slavery and rejoice as they celebrate their going not sure where, but out of where they came from, and that in that moment is all that matters. So we actually are doing Michelle Citron's Michamocha, which we have done a few times over the past few months, one of my favorites, and it is on your song sheet. Malchutecha Bokei Hayam Ze'eli Ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 like you, who is like you, who is like you, don't I? Who is like you, who is like you, who is like you, Adam? Hawaii Madonna, Nikamona, And also in the book of Exodus, Vishamru on page 162. Bradley is ready to go. You don't have to run though. Walk, 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 walk. Anyone else like to join us? We have very easy choreography, as most of you know, very easy to follow. It involves a spin and a woo, and that's it. You can be a solid gold dancer thing. Is that something from 40 years ago? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Vishamru talks about the loving relationship between God and the Jewish people that we see in our Shabbat day, in our observance of this day. Vishamru, page 162.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael ha-Shabbat Nasoret ha-Shabbat le'Torah beri olam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael ha-Shabbat Nasoret ha-Shabbat le'Torah beri olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Odi le'olam Odi le'olam Odi le'olam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat Nasoret ha-Shabbat le'Dorotam beri olam Ki sheshet yamim Asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael ha'shabbat naso et ha'shabbat le'dorotam berit olam uvayom hashvi shavat vaynafash shavat vaynafash shavat vaynafash ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael ha'shabbat naso et ha'shabbat le'dorotam berit olam.
Good job. And we continue with the central portion of our worship service, the tefillah, which begins on page 164 with Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, or there's some English lines that are also on your song sheet. If you are able, you may rise. Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu, Vimotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah,
Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'konei Hakol V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Gula Livanei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol ataraf lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir basurim, Umekayei memunato, Lishenei afar. Michamocha bal givurot, Umido melach, Melech meimid umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We continue with a moment of silent reflection, either with the words in our Siddur or the words of the heart, and we continue either standing or sitting.
Shalom, Bimroma. Ose Shalom, Bimroma. Uyase, Uyase, Uyase Shalom. Uyase, Uyase, Uyase Shalom. Uyase, Uyase, Uyase Shalom. Aleinu. Ose Shalom, Bimroma. Ose Shalom, Bimroma. Uyase, Uyase, Uyase Shalom. Uyase, Uyase, Uyase Shalom. Uyase, Uyase, Uyase Shalom. Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Aleinu. Ose Shalom.
Our prayers and thoughts go out to all who are in need of healing, emotional, physical, spiritual, whether in our own circles or around the world. We think of many people who do not feel whole and keep them in our prayers that this will be a healing week for them. On this Shabbat, we especially send our prayers to David Appel, Roberta Arns, Carolyn Bouchard, Ethan Campbell, Yanko Ben Chana, Lisa Kiera, Daniel Urchik, Shar Friedman, Roy Zabat Shmuel Uvat Sheva, Tracy Janetta, Julian Kaner, Ed Kaplan, Ellen Kaplan, Erwin Kostrinsky, Marion Kostrinsky, Michael Levin, Mark Merberg, Arnold Reamer, Sheila Rosenberg, Rosalie Saltiel, Louise Samuels, Maxine Shapiro, Bobby Sherman-Gieshin, Herman Spring, Andrea Teeple, Carla Teisch, Katie Weinstock, Lori Weinstock, Mark Weinstock, Batsheva. Are there others we wish to think of? We join together in our traditional prayer for healing, Misha Beirach, and the words are on your song sheet.
Misha Beirach, Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Uyavarech, Virapeh, et Hacholim. Misha Beirach, Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Virapeh et Hacholim. Elna refana la, Elna refana la, Elna refana la, Elna refana la. Misha Beirach, Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Uyavarech, Virapeh et Hacholim.
So as we officially, I suppose, because we're only a few weeks out, enter kind of it depends how you look at it, the slide into the High Holy Days or the climb into the High Holy Days, or that's your metaphor to make. But we are beginning to look at entering that season. And one of the things I'll be speaking about during that time are our values, in preparation for the year, one of the things I made for the front lobby here is a little brochure called Our Defining Jewish Values. And feel free to take a look, and I won't, over the course of the holidays or the next few weeks, I'll cover a few of these. And one of the motivations is often people think that being a Reformed Jew is defined by what one doesn't do, which is not a good definition ever, rather than what do we stand for, what is our form of Judaism, and what does it require us to do and believe? Maybe not believe, but what does it require us to embrace as what guides us in life as Reformed Jews? And I think a really good, concise answer to that is our values. And as Reformed Jews, we strive to be our best selves as guided by these godly values that are rooted all the way back in Torah, which is our earliest written material that we have as a people of Israel. There's no Judaism yet in the Torah, it's way too early. But those values get developed and developed over time and eventually evolves into what we think of as Judaism. So this evening, I'm going to talk about just one value because it happens to be in our Torah portion this week. We are, I mentioned earlier, in the last book of the Torah, the book of Deuteronomy. And unfortunately, this value for English speakers is very hard to say, and I can't do anything about that because it is what it is. But the value is a little phrase that is said, Baal Tashchit. Now, having that shin and the chet next to each other make it really difficult, but again, I didn't invent the language, it is what it is. But the name of the value is Baal Tashchit. It is one of the values in our little TBO brochure. And often it's, nothing translates exactly. You can't translate one language into another language exactly. You kind of interpret the best you can. So Baal Tashchit is often said in English, don't waste, or don't be destructive, or don't hurt the planet, don't waste resources. It's often just translated in ways like that. And often, because of this, Baal Tashchit is a value that is often used, a Hebrew phrase that's used to support the Jewish value of taking care of our planet, of taking care of nature and the environment. So what is Baal Tashchit? What does it mean in this portion? And, what does it have to do with ideas we have of our responsibility to the earth? So way before Deuteronomy, it's important to remember, when the very beginning of the Torah, the world is created. And if you remember the creation story, because that is often a story that's taught a lot in different Sunday school settings or just referred to, you'll remember that the story goes that on each day, God creates some different piece of what becomes the whole universe. And not taking it literally, because we don't take it literally. Torah is not a science book. But what it does represent is that we are surrounded with a natural world, whether it is animals on the ground, or trees and flowers, or even the night sky. We are surrounded by a universe that is infused with holiness. And at the end of each day, God comments in the story, this is good. The idea, a really important Jewish idea, that our world is a good world. And once people come on the scene, people are told to be Shomrei Adamah. People are told your job, I guess, is to keep safe the world, the natural world, Shomrei Adamah. There was for a long time a Jewish environmental group called Shomrei Adamah, because it means safeguarding or being guardians of the earth, the planet. Okay, so clearly from the very, very beginning of the Torah, we are told the earth and the whole universe is a good place, a holy place. Your job is to take care of it. Okay, so what about this week's portion? Move ahead a few books. This week's portion actually talks about war. It talks about what are the rules of war. So those of you who have any military background experience or just some familiarity know, even though war is a terrible thing and people are killed and people are permanently injured and there's all kinds of destruction, there are actually ethical rules of war. There are things that you are in a civilized world you are not allowed to do in a war. It's not anything goes. Well, we see that in the Torah as well. So this part of the Torah, this little line, Bal Tashchit, comes from a line that says in Deuteronomy 20 that when you are attacking a city over a long period of time, it's under attack, you're besieging it, you will not destroy the trees by cutting them down with axes. And this is specifically talking about any tree that produces fruit or nuts that people or animals could potentially use to eat. You may eat of their fruit, or you can, take little pieces off if you need them, but you may not chop them down. And then it says right after that, is a fruit tree an enemy that you should attack it? That's it. That's Bal Tashchit. Bal Tashchit is actually a phrase that refers to a rule in war. It is not ethical if you are an Israelite. It is not ethical to go in and chop down all the fruit trees of your enemy. Those have to stay. You have to let them live. Kind of interesting and not, what do we do with that? I mean, one thing we can get, you may have heard of the phrase, a scorched earth policy. So a scorched earth policy means that you go into a war and you just destroy everything. Just leave nothing. That is not something that the Torah allows, and that's not something that Judaism has ever allowed. You cannot go in and start poisoning water sources and burning everything down and cutting down all the trees and destroying crops. You may not do that as a Jew, even in a war. So our early rabbis, one thing that they did, and we continue to this day, is they took teachings from the Torah that were very ancient. Our early rabbis lived from about 0. I don't think they were thinking, oh, we live in the year 0, but it's what we now think of the year 0. From about 0 to like a few hundred years CE. So that's what we call our early rabbis who really got Judaism as we know it going. And they had this Torah that was like 1,000 years old, and they needed to make it relevant and meaningful to a new generation of people that may have seen it as, well, what does this have to do with us? This is like 1,000 years old. Like, what's this about? So the rabbis took teachings, values that were in this ancient Torah, and they reworked them a little bit to create something that we still grow and evolve. So the rabbis saw this teaching about war, and their view was, this is not just about war. You could look at that, you could say, oh, I'm not in a war with somebody, so I can do whatever I want. No, they said, this is not just about war. This is teaching you something about life in general. You can't just do something because it suits you in the short term. Like if in this moment, if I cut down every apple and nut and pear and mango tree all in my whole enemy's land, oh, that's going to be good for me because then I'm going to win because they have nothing to eat. You're not allowed to do that. Jewishly, that is not ethical. You are not allowed to do that because life isn't just about this moment and winning this little battle. It's about the generations to come. It's about the years to come. And that's what the rabbis did with this teaching. We take this teaching and we say, it is never okay to do anything to any resources that will hurt people 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So relevant to our modern world. We read about this kind of thing in the paper every day. We hear about it, on the news every day. What are we allowed to do because it's convenient for us? But that will kind of ruin things in the environment potentially 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now. Judaism, even in ancient Torah, has something to say about that. There's one teaching, the rabbi, a very early rabbinic teaching that says one should never spill water out of his or her pool, not like swimming pool, but, body of water, when others need it. So, kind of as a conclusion, we could talk about this clearly for a long time. This value of Bal Tashchit, like many other Jewish values, teaches us the world is not just about what do I want in this minute. It's about we are all in this together. We all share this planet. If I own something, and maybe I don't need it, I can't just waste it because other people need it. Always thinking about the fact that each of us is part of something much greater. Carol Glantz is our duty trustee, so she will be sharing some things coming up at TBO, including our big open house on Sunday. Woo! You can repeat it. They say in advertising you have to repeat something 7 times or something, so. Yeah, there you go.
Open house is Sunday, and open house is Sunday, open house Sunday, open house Sunday. I think that's 7.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom to those here having services with us and those at home. We welcome you, and we hope you're all going to come to our open house on Sunday. It's for everyone. You can bring your friends, bring your family. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have games for the kids. We have hot dogs, and it's always fun. So now I want to thank Rabbi, not only for our services tonight, but I don't want to get this wrong, for sponsoring our oneg later in honor of the wedding of her daughter, Tanya Rappaport Fink, to Adam Maidman. Is that right?
Maidman, yep.
Okay. And most importantly, after our open house, is renewing your membership. If you don't know, in 4 weeks from tonight, we have our Erev Rosh Hashanah service. We would hope that you will all attend, which means you will all be joining us as new TBO members again for this year. I do want to say something. I have, on a little opening, I proofed the upcoming events. And the upcoming events you're going to get this Monday, it talks about the high holidays, and you have to push a button here. If you plan on coming and you're a member, you'll see there's a button to push if you're a paid member of TBO at this time. And you push it, and you fill out the form, and let them know that you are picking up your tickets for the holidays. Because some people will just look at it, and they'll say all these different boxes. If you're a member and you want to come to holiday services, you must push the box, put your name. I did it, it works. And we also request that if you want to be in the Book of Remembrance for any of your loved ones who are no longer with us, we have our Yisker book. You can call the office next week. You would have had the form for it. I think the form is also on the email that you're going to get Monday. And I'd like to thank Andy, as always, and Ruth and Xavier for all the work they do and help us to have wonderful Shabbat services. Shabbat Shalom. Did I forget anything?
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
And welcome our president.
And thank you to Matthew, yeah. I would like to call up Ronnie Roth and Heather Arnold to open our ark for Aleinu. Aleinu is on page 586, and you may rise.
עלינו לשבח, לדון הכל, לתת גדולה, ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהן, וגורלנו ככל עמם, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Thank you, Yasher Koach. You may be seated. We think at this time of those who are no longer with us, but who are very much with us in spirit, in our memories, in our hearts, and all the ways they brought their unique gifts to this world. During her time of Shloshim, we remember Judith Levine, sister of Denny Levin, and those whose yahrzeits fall this week. Samuel Blaustein, Theodore Dave Blum, Zachary Chanin, Linda DeMeglio, William Fetter, Al Gorin, Min Grumman, Samuel Herman, Michael Douglas Hopp, Bernard Kammerman, Edward S. Kaplan, Lillian Keller, Carol Kelly, Ann Klein, Bertha Milrot, Philip Myers, Jacob Pinsky, Louis Polikoff, Anna Schultz, Ethel Yarov Schwartz, Samuel Silberberg, Max Silver, Morton Leon Simon, Irene Steele, Boris Steinberg, Joyce Fritz Stern, Mo Zitkowski. Are there others we wish to remember? We honor all of their memories as we join in Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. You may rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divarach yirutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. B'gala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha berichu.
La'ela min kol berachata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. V'imru, v'imru, v'imru amen. V'imru, v'imru, v'imru amen. You may be seated. We move from our sacred prayer of memory to the joy of the Shabbat day, and I think we need some symbols of that joy, which of course are juice and challah. Molly, you want, no, maybe Molly take the bread, that might be. I don't know what else is on there. Got it. And being honored this evening are Bradley and Molly, who are, Bradley has his position staked out. Each take a cup. I hope it's juice. Kiddush, we can follow along with Bradley and Molly on page 123.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza b'hanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemahaseh bereshit Ki hu yom techila lamikrae kodesh zecher letziyat mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha Ba'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. I guess it's juice, because they wouldn't be smiling at our wine. Okay.
Bradley.
Ta-da! You guys want to get us started?
You want to go? Hamosi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rising song together as our prayer is joyfully said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
You may eat your challah,
Don't take too
and
much.
we will conclude with a different version of Oseh Shalom, the one who makes peace.
Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu.
Oseh Shalom
bimroma,
b'mromav,
hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shabbat Shalom.